This week's episode is brought to you by the Top Podcast Book Club. If you're interested in reading a book and having a discussion with us, which we'll talk about at the end of each month, go ahead and check the description for Discord. Join it and join our book's discussion where you can vote on what book we're going to read next and we can discuss the book together. We're also going to try to keep the books under 15 hours, so if you have Spotify Premium, you can read along with us for free. Hope to see you there.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to this week's episode of the Top Podcast. As always, I am your host, Becca, and joined with me today is my friend Christian, who doesn't want to say hello, but that's okay.
I said hi, sorry. Hello.
Today we have two very special guests on the podcast. I'll introduce one, and then Christian can introduce the other. I've got the friend I grew up on the same street as, known him my whole life, and I see him more than he sees me. Boom.
What's his name?
Oh, it's Mike.
What's his name?
Okay.
That was a great 80% of an introduction, Becca. Thank you.
So good.
All right. I'm going to introduce the other guy on this podcast. He is not a chef, but he is a really good home cook. He is not my first black friend, but he is my first black boyfriend and husband. He is chaotic, as I'm sure everyone who listens to this podcast is aware of. And he's secretly creative. He doesn't like to admit it, but he's very creative and artsy. So, and that person is Lucian.
Hello.
Hey, Lou.
This is a much better intro than my intro.
Well, I thought yours was short and sweet and to the point, and a little creepy. So I don't know what more you can want.
I ran out of things to say, so I had to make a low-hanging fruit, you know?
It's okay.
All right, Mike, what are we talking about this week?
Yeah, so this week we are talking about the top 3 times that we changed our mind. Rob was going to join us, and then he changed his mind and decided he'd rather work overnight in negative 50-degree weather than do the hard work of self-examination. So he will not be
First
here.
time he's ever changed his mind.
Had to happen once.
Well, the podcast ended last week, and he came into the bedroom and went, can you think of any times I've ever
Whoa,
changed
slow down there, Becca. This is a family show.
Oh, shut up.
You know I'm a degenerate.
He walked into the room I was in that happened to have a bed in it. And he said,
Head-to-head game? What's going on here?
are you done?
Continue, Becca.
Yeah,
Continue.
I'm done.
You deserve to not be interrupted.
Now I know how Lucian feels every other week. He asked me if I could think of any times he'd ever changed his mind, and I believe my exact words were, no, you're too stubborn.
I do think he's changed like his style over the years. When I first met him, he had a very distinctive like skater boy style. I don't know if that's exactly like the right word, but
That's pretty close.
Yeah, I could see
Yeah.
that.
Is it called
he
C?
liked the skinny jeans and like the cutesy colorful t-shirts with like, I don't know, cats and stuff on it and the swoopy hair.
Yeah.
Now he's far more dark and brooding.
I think now 80% of his wardrobe is Lions t-shirts, and the other 20% is Tulsa University t-shirts. So
That is pretty different.
I mean,
than
that
skinny
goatee is
jeans
doing
and
it for
cat
me.
t-shirts.
That goatee looks floppy as hell.
it is kind of fluffy. He conditions well.
Okay. So yeah. For this episode, I don't know. I mean, Lou at least probably had more than 3, but does not have to be serious. I got one kind of serious one, and I'm gonna work my way up to it. So like, everything's fair game. And I'm gonna start us off with mushrooms. I
Okay.
used to hate mushrooms. I thought they were disgusting, and I would not try them. And then one day I was like, I'm an adult in my late 20s. I want to learn to like mushrooms. And so I started learning to cook mushrooms, and they are absolutely delicious. And it turns out people just cook them wrong, and then they get slimy mushrooms, which are disgusting.
Mhm.
And so all you have to do is cook them right, which isn't even hard. You just got to learn how to do it and be patient. And they're so good. They're so good.
I
Christian
thought
will
you were
raw
going to go in
dog.
different directions with the mushrooms.
I thought so as
I
well.
love mushrooms.
Which
Christian
one?
will raw dog mushrooms. She'll eat them fresh
Yeah.
out the pack.
I do. I love them. They're so good.
I'm not quite there yet, but I wouldn't be upset about getting there someday.
It's worth it. I have a great time every single time I eat raw mushrooms.
Becca, do you like mushrooms?
Gotten there. I used to hate them. I think every child. I don't think I've ever met a child that likes mushrooms.
I
But
liked raw mushrooms
started.
as a child.
Well, there we go. I started liking them in things, and that's kind of where I'm at. Is I like them as a topping or cooked into things, but I don't really like them on their own.
Mushroom on pizza?
Yeah.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
I love
Well,
mushrooms on
mushroom in your
pizza.
spaghetti, pretty good.
Yeah. I made my first duxelle the other day, which is the like mushroom seasoned with butter and herbs that goes in the it's like a layer in a beef Wellington. Because I wasn't making a beef Wellington, but I did make what I called a deconstructed beef Wellington sandwich, which was actually pretty good. And the duxelle was fantastic. It's basically just mushrooms.
Oh, I thought you said
Called
duck
duck
salad.
salad? I
Duxelle. It's a
had
French
salad
word.
at first, and I was waiting for the duck to come into it.
It's like a DUX.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It's the stuff they. Oh my bad. Go.
No, you're good. What's up?
Oh, it's the stuff they put on the crepes when they wrap it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The
and then
crepes when they wrap it?
What are you
Yeah, when
talking-
they make a beef Wellington, they slather the crepes. Yeah, it's
Some people
crepe.
do. Yeah, some people
Crepes,
do
is
a
it?
layer of crepes. Some people just do the puff pastry.
Oh, I didn't
Yeah.
know that you could do crepes. Because I've only seen it with puff pastry. That's
Well, it's crepes
interesting.
then puff pastry.
Oh, both.
Yeah, I've seen it
Oh,
without the
that's
crepes, but
interesting.
I've more recently learned that their crepes are also a component.
The real question is when Jacob and Andrew's brother's brother Andrew makes beef Wellington. Does he use crepes?
I don't know. He never invites me over to try his beef Wellington.
That's rude.
It is very rude of him.
You should
never
offer to
invites
bring
me over
over the duck salad.
The duck salad. What are you having? A duck salad
And then
sandwich.
he'll feel obligated to let you try it since you brought an ingredient.
That's
Ooh.
that's a good
Yeah.
plan. He'll never see it coming either.
Hey Andrew, I'm just gonna pop over with this duck salad real quick.
I want to try duck. Has anybody tried duck before?
It's okay.
Rob really likes duck.
I don't think I've had it.
I think I might have once. I feel like I've heard that it's just kind of gamey.
Mm,
I've heard it tastes like chicken, like everything else does. So
Yeah, I think if you cook it right, because I've had I made a French soup one time that normally calls for like a stewed duck meat, so it has time to like break down, and instead you just use chicken thighs because it's like you can't go to Walmart and get a duck.
sure.
I
But
mean, you
so-
could outside for sure, depending on the location of the.
That's fair, but I haven't quite gotten so into cooking from scratch that I've started butchering my fowl yet. So
Oh, in Michigan, you're more likely to end up with goose.
yeah, it's true. There's a lot of geese. Probably a lot easier to catch a
Gross.
goose too. But this
So
is
they're
I've heard they
devolved.
are greasy.
Ducks or geese?
Geese.
It's not every day we use the Discord soundboard.
At least not the duck one.
Yeah, usually it's me messing up the horn and expecting an excited horn and getting a sad horn.
Favorites.
I think
that's
it
so
adds a
hard
lot
every
to the podcast.
What'd you say, Christian?
I said I think it adds a lot to the podcast.
The duck
Mhm.
horn or the sad horn?
Both.
Yes.
That one. All right, Becca, what do you got for us?
Oh, so my number 3 is about a video game. When Rob and I were like for half of our relationship, we were very, very long distance. And so one of the things we would do is we would play co-op games and chat on Discord. And he was like, "You got to play this game. You're going to love it because you love other games like it." So he got me to download Stardew Valley. And we got on, and he was like, "Okay, chop some wood, and then we're going to the mines." And that is how I spent my first, like, 5 sessions of Stardew Valley, was chopping woods and going to the mines and almost dying. And I was like, "This game sucks. This is nothing like my other cozy farming games, and I don't want to play anymore." And then one day it was free on Game Pass, and so I tried it again, and now I have too many hours across 3 different platforms and 4 different saves. And I finished the community center and all of those saves, and it's kind of an addiction. So
If you're
yeah,
just gonna
Stardew
chop
Valley is
wood and
fun.
go to the mines, why not just play Minecraft at that point?
Exactly, but that's why I said I wasn't enjoying it. Like, he's very much like like, you got a goal and you gotta finish the goal and get the build, and I just want to grow some plants and make friends and pet my cat. So we
I've
enjoy
never
different
played
things.
it. I've
Christian,
never played it, but I've seen Lucian's Stardew Valley setup, and it looks pretty cool.
I think you would like it.
I can't believe you've never played that
People
game.
keep telling me that, and maybe
people
one
are
day I'll
right.
try it. But I didn't like I liked it for a month. What's it called? Crossroads, not Crossroads.
Oh, Animal Crossing?
Animal Crossing. I liked it for like a month, and then
I
I
did
just
not like
had
Animal Crossing.
That's like 30 days
Yeah, I
longer
liked
than
it
I
at
like Animal
first.
Crossing.
It got boring. I think I played it like late every day for like a month or something, and then one day I'm just like, I don't think I'm ever gonna pick this up again, and I didn't.
By chance, were those 30 days in 2020?
No, they were this summer.
Oh wow! I feel like that's when everybody was playing that game.
Yeah.
No, we were gonna buy it in 2020, but it sold out or something when we went to buy it. So
No,
good.
Stardew Valley, it has a lot more story to it, and like the game, you continue to unlock new things as you go. And from what I understand of Animal Crossing, it does kind of have a point where you've done everything you can do, and you're just logging on to do your chores every day, from the way Rob played it, at least. And I was like, why are you logging on to do chores on a video game?
Yeah, it does get monotonous. I also really struggle with like long-term
commitment,
interest in games. I'm much more like a. What did you say?
No, Shots fired! Shots fired! I apologize. You guys are just giving me so much to work with. I can't handle it.
What? Okay.
Lucian, I don't feel safe on this podcast anymore.
Oh no, I'm an ally. I promise. I'm an ally.
A Stardew Valley ally?
I believe it when I see it.
Christian, what's your number 3?
My number 3 is my whole like high school career in like early college. I was convinced I would never ever work with kids. Kids really scared me, like of all ages, especially babies. I just was like, I don't know what to do with you.
They're freaking creepy, man. It's.
They are creepy, and like they're delicate, and they do weird things, and then they want you to respond. I'm like, I'm not very expressive. I'm not going to be able to give you what you want. And so I swore I would never work with kids. All my friends agreed, yeah, you probably shouldn't work with kids because you're really awkward. And then other than like a couple odd jobs in college, I have only had jobs directly working with kids. And now I really enjoy it. I really love it. I've learned to embrace the awkwardness of kids at all their different ages and like appreciate their little quirks. I've also I feel like I've grown a lot as a person from just like trying to understand kids so I could do better at my job. And so I really, now I could not ever see myself doing a job that did not work with kids. I just like, in some way, I just don't think I could do it. I think any job without working with kids would be super boring and not very fulfilling. But I fought it for a very long time. I was like actively working with kids in like several different positions and still being like, I'll probably never work with kids. Um, it's just not for me. But yeah, now I work at a school. I'm a teacher and I work with middle schoolers and high schoolers in the same school. And I enjoy it a lot. It's my favorite job I've ever had. And I hope I never have to do anything else. So yeah.
But not babies, because they're freaking terrifying.
Except, yeah, so infants, I'm still freaked out about. I am even very hesitant to hold like my own nieces and nephews until they're like a solid 6 months or so. I don't know. I'm like, I don't want to touch your baby. Please don't hand it to me. I have the opposite of baby fever every single time I see an infant. I just don't like babies. Toddlers, I love. I love toddlers. They're fun. I have no desire to interact with anyone under the age of like 1. I don't know.
Baby phase is also my least favorite. I don't dislike babies, but I like kids a lot more once you can start like interacting with them and like carrying on some form of conversation, even if it's like the most mundane little 1-year-old conversation. Before
Right.
that, they're very breakable and kind of boring, but they're cute. So
yeah, they're cute, but like, how long does that last? You know, how long can you just feel like you're cute and that's enough?
But until the first time they crap out of their diaper onto you, then you're like, you're not cute anymore.
Yeah, I had that happen to my youngest sister. I was babysitting her and that happened. I didn't know what to do, so I just threw away her clothes. And my mom came home and she's like, you can't do that. You can't just throw away her clothes.
You will be out of money so fast.
How about you raise it then, Mom?
Yeah.
Oh man.
Fun fact.
I met Jacob's baby for the first time a couple weeks ago, and his wife was like, do you wanna hold the baby? I was like, honestly, I do not care. I am not like I'm scared of babies person, but I do not need to hold the baby. If you want me to hold the baby, I'll hold the baby. If it doesn't matter to you, it doesn't matter to me. And Danielle was like, all right. And then about 45 minutes later, she just like walked up and just plopped the baby in my arms. I was like, okay, again, like you didn't need to surprise me with this. I'm indifferent. Like,
what was your fun fact, Becca?
Oh, one time when Michael's child was still a baby, I was babysitting and she did not want to eat the yogurt out of the pouch. So I was like, oh, that's chill. I'll just squeeze the pouch into a bowl, not thinking about the fact that she was a baby and ate everything with her hands and she smeared yogurt all over herself. And so she got a bad day. And I don't know if Michael or Mackenzie knew that, but if you were wondering why there was yogurt all over your high chair, I did my best.
Oh, honestly, we probably didn't even notice it. She got stuff everywhere. The back of that old Ford Focus looked like it was mostly yogurt, but it looked like a scene out of Dexter, just recreated with with yogurt. It was just everywhere. It's terrible. Lou, what do you got for us?
Just the baby murdering bad people.
Watch that show.
I would watch that show too. Man, I had such a hard time. I had so many things. I changed my mind constantly in life. So I had such a hard time going which direction to go with this. I decided to go chill and not like super thoughtful and emotional. When I was around 17, 18, I wanted my first tattoo to be a complete black back wing tattoo.
Oh.
Like I wanted 2 wings. I wanted them to be black. I wanted them to be large.
Like the Alter Bridge cover?
Like the Alter Bridge.
Blackbird?
Oh my gosh. That's crazy, dude. You just got... Oh my gosh. That's exactly what... Wow. My mind is blown. Oh man. Yeah, just like that. I hate the fact that you see me so well.
This has been therapy with Mike.
This has been therapy with Mike.
Wow,
yeah,
that's all you need to do, huh?
That's all. Yeah, I'm cured. Look at that. No more anxiousness for me. Yeah, I wanted that to be my first tattoo. I just pictured myself like with this really cool back tattoo. And then I kept looking at it and I kept researching it and I looked at the pain tolerance of it all and I was like, oh, this would be a terrible tattoo, let alone a terrible first tattoo. If you have this tattoo, you're cool. You know, it looks better on you than it would on me. But yeah, that's I'm very happy that I changed my mind. I'm happy with the tattoo.
I think you should reconsider that one.
Would that do it for you, Christian? You want to fly with me?
Oh no.
Careful, Becca's got a line she's not using just to not make you uncomfortable. So if you push her,
And a few listeners.
Oh no.
yeah.
When we're done recording, you should tell us what the line is.
I can do that.
Yeah, I looked up the meaning of black wings. It's duality, the complexity of good and evil, and the possibility of learning from dark experiences.
Wow.
I'm getting a black wing tattoo right now.
We should all get black wings
We
tattoos
should all
together.
get
Matching
Top
black wing tattoos.
If you've ever been on the
Podcast,
podcast,
black
you
wings.
have to get a black wing tattoo.
We're just like strapping people down.
no, please. Dude, it would
I wasn't
hurt.
gonna go that far. You made it weird.
I got. You ain't seen nothing yet.
Oh no.
I got a Spider-Man tattoo on my chest. That was my first tattoo, and I literally just got the outline because it hurt so bad that I was like, I can't do it. I can't do the whole
The
thing.
outline of what?
The Spider-Man spider.
Oh, the outline of the spider. Okay.
Yeah, and I've been meaning to
The outline
get
of
it
the
filled
spider
in for
isn't
like.
as bad as like the outline of like him or.
Oh gosh, no, it's just the spider. But
That'd be so
literally, we were
creepy.
like an inch into it, and I was like, hey, how about just the outline, please?
For a long time, Carly and then our mutual friend Amanda, we were convinced that when we turned 18, we were all going to get the Deathly Hallows symbol
Ooh.
tattooed. And since now, and seeing all of the cringy millennial Harry Potter tattoos, I thank the Lord almost every day that we didn't get that tattoo.
I recently looked through like my tattoo Pinterest and deleted all my old cringy ones. I wish I could remember what was on there, but they were all just like all of the basic white girl tattoos you could think of. Every single one was on there. I'm like, thank
Finger on your ankle.
I was not able to get tattoos at this time. I would regret every single one of them.
I think it's good that you have to wait until you're 18 to get a tattoo.
Yeah, or even longer, you know. 'cause
Or even
they're
longer.
expensive.
I got
'Cause
my
I
first
probably
tattoo.
saved some of those at 18.
I got my first tattoo at 21, or not 20. I wasn't 21. I think I was 20, and I'm still glad that I got that tattoo. But I did get it right after a breakup. I got it because the girl I was dating, it was as serious as you think you can be in a serious relationship when you're 21.
Yeah.
And she was like, I don't know if I want you to get that tattoo. And I was like, all right, well, I won't get the tattoo then if you don't like it. And then we broke up, and I was like, oh, I could get the tattoo. And then I was like, oh no, this happens to me all the time. And I was like, I can get the tattoo now. And I went and I got the tattoo, and then I was like, oh, people are gonna think I had a breakdown. It was not a breakup tattoo. It was just a tattoo I wanted.
Is it a big tattoo or like a small one?
It's a pretty decent sized tattoo. I'd say it's not quite a foot from top to
It's
bottom,
like almost
but
scale.
yeah, maybe like 10 inches top to bottom.
Okay. I feel like there are definitely like way worse options you could have gotten for your first tattoo at 21.
Oh yeah, and like
It doesn't seem too bad, honestly.
no, it's like you're only ever gonna see it if we're in an environment where I'm shirtless, so it's pretty easy to cover up.
Mhm.
And yeah, and I've got other tattoos since, so it's not like it's just out there.
Right.
Yeah.
All right, number twos.
Yes.
Number twos. My number two has been consuming an unhealthy amount of my time lately, and it is also a video game, Becca. It is Dying Light 2. I played Dying Light 1 for the first time, I think it might have been during lockdown. I think it was in 2020. And I loved it. I fell in love. I was like, this is the greatest game ever. And I kind of rushed to finish it because the sequel was coming out. And I got the sequel, and I was all excited, and I hated it. Like
Oh.
the story wasn't the
So sad.
same. There were a bunch of like indefinable things that I didn't like that I couldn't. Well done, Becca.
Thank you, thank you.
So good.
And then like the controls were wrong. Like it was all a game about like running and jumping, and you jumped differently, and you were all floating. I was like, I hate it so much. And I recently went back and was like, because the new one got announced, and I was like, all right, I'm gonna go through and I'm gonna try and play Dying Light 2. And instead of being mad that it isn't Dying Light 1, I'm gonna try my best to just accept it for what it is. I have been running on 6 hours a night of sleep for like 2 straight weeks now. I'm on New Game Plus. I'm just like, I'm on the grind. I can't stop. I got 4 people to buy this game, plus Hot Kyle makes 5. We can only play with 5 people, which means there are now 6 of us. And I did such a good job convincing people to buy this game that there's too many, and we have to tell some people no sometimes, which I feel bad about. But it's just, yeah. And that's been like something I've been trying to implement more lately, is the idea of like not disliking something because of what it isn't, but giving it a shot to like be appreciated for what it is. And I've found that I'm able to like more things when I do that. And I'd always rather like something than not like something.
Yeah.
One
Pretty
thing
cool.
that bothers me is when people compare things that I don't think are meant to be compared. So I think like a lot of people don't like Star Trek because they go in expecting it to be like Star Wars.
Oh my gosh, yeah, you're
So
gonna
then
be
they don't
miserable.
like it because it's not Star Wars.
Yeah, it's not.
And
It's
it's
not
like-
for cretins. It's for the upper echelon of human intelligence.
Right. So like I think when you go in with that expectations that something is going to be like something else,
It's
it just
sophisticated.
sets you up for disappointment because most things are not identical to anything else, you know.
It's champagne, not Sprite.
What?
I've enjoyed both Star Trek and Star Wars. I'm not a huge fan of either, but I've watched both and enjoyed them.
As it should be.
I just don't like Star Wars.
Is it because
Yeah,
you went
I'm
and
okay with
expected it
it.
to be like Star Trek?
No, it's part of it's that I really just don't think it's that good. And then it's unbelievably overrated. Like people treat it like it's Citizen Kane or something, and it's probably more enjoyable than Citizen Kane, but it's just like people treat it like it's a 14 out of 10, and I'm like, yeah, it's like a B. It's not bad, and it gets worse as as it goes.
Sure.
I think people get a little too into it, but I can see like why some people like it so much. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, if you got like an emotional tie to it, no, no shade there.
Yeah.
But
That's where I feel like a lot of it is. It's all the emotional connection to it.
Nostalgia.
Yeah.
The nostalgia of it all.
for
Yeah,
mean,
sure.
like-
some people let the emotional connection like go a little too far, and I think that's why I don't know. I think it turns people away because some of their fan base is pretty crazy.
The fan base, and to be fair, I'd say that you probably have like Trekkies are probably more insane than Star Wars fans.
You just don't run into them as often.
Yeah, there's fewer of them, but they are a far greater presence on the scale than an individual Star Wars fan.
I could see
I
that.
don't know any Trekkies, or if I do, they're like secret Trekkies.
You know my
Closet
mom.
Trekkies.
yeah.
I've only heard your mom's rants about is it The Hobbit? I don't
The
know.
Lord of the Rings,
Lord
probably.
of Lord of the Rings, yeah. And I will never mention to her how many times I've tried to watch that movie and fallen asleep because I think it's so boring.
I tried. So I woke up at like 4 a.m. one time. I don't know what happened, but I was like, I'm wide awake. I got up. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna watch the Lord of the Rings movies. Why not? And I turned it on, and the first scene was going, and the camera was like sweeping through the Shire, and I just got like unbelievably emotional. I was like, this is like the peace that people died in World War II to defend. I think I need to go back to bed if I'm getting this upset about this.
What?
Well, Tolkien did write the Lord of the Rings after fighting in World War II, so there's a lot of speculation about like the types of allegories that he put in the book, even though he denies it himself.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Makes a little more sense.
Like I literally was like brought to tears by the first scene. I was like, I can't be awake right now. I'm not well.
I cry too many times during the end of The Return of the King.
Which
So
one?
so much. Yes.
Because
Here for every ending.
Because he comes back, or
Just
what?
all of it. Sam carrying Frodo up the mountain makes me cry. When they all bow, when Frodo bows down in front of Aragorn because he's getting coronated, and then he's like you bow to no one, and it's so freaking good. Yeah, those are just two.
Have you
There's
guys
a lot.
all seen all of the movies and or read all the books?
Seen the movies, read 2 out of 3 of the books.
I've seen the movies and I've read 1.5 out of 3 books.
I've also listened to the audio drama at least 45 times.
I've seen 20 minutes of it 3 times.
It's great for falling asleep. Or a good
Apparently.
early morning cry.
Maybe I'll try it next time I need an early morning cry. I'll think about all the allegories.
Christian, I don't think you'll ever need an early morning cry. I don't think we should start a day like that. You maybe talk to your therapist about it, but just gonna say,
There's always therapy with Mike.
always therapy with Mike. My
All right.
ultimate love.
Well, I think we can both cancel both our sessions after this podcast episode's over then.
Yeah, I'll
You're
talk to
good, you got
John
Mike.
about
I'm
that.
cured.
I did this podcast. I'm all set. I'm emotionally healthy.
Hey.
That's what I'm taking from this episode.
Can I have my money back, please?
I
Kinda
don't know.
spent a lot here.
I think your guy worked hard for his money. I think he deserves it.
Ooh, all right.
Not any shade to you. I'm just saying he's
Well,
doing a
moving
good
past that
job.
potential marital
That's
spat,
what I'm
Becca, what's your number 2?
My number 2 is similar to Christian's number 3 in that it is about my job.
Wow.
I went to school. My bachelor's is in American Sign Language Interpretation. And when I was in school, I was very gung-ho that I was going to become an interpreter and that was going to be my whole life. And I thought I had found the career that I fell in love with. And then I got to my practicum, where you aren't just using the language and learning about it, but you actually go to things and interpret. And every single time I went, I liked it a little bit less, which I don't think is the way it's supposed to go. And but I was in my final semester of my senior year, so I was gosh darn not changing my major. And so I graduated. And I did end up getting an interpreting job that I am very thankful for. I interpreted in a K-12 setting for a student with language deprivation who definitely deserved a much more seasoned interpreter, but I live in a rural area, so I was what they had.
Sorry, poor backwater deaf. All
Yep.
you get is Becca.
It's just me, just a newbie graduate with the brand new certification.
Deaf isn't a slur, right?
Noob.
That's allowed.
Oh my gosh, I want to tell a story, but continue.
But and I do like that job was very impactful for me, and working with that student was very impactful for me for a lot of reasons. But what it mostly taught me was that I love working with students, and I love working with students with disabilities, and I love watching kids meet their goals and grow. And I loved that part way more than the let's take one language and turn it into another, which, while cool and interesting, my passion for it just fizzled as soon as it was my job.
Well, plus,
And
somebody
so-
pointed out to you that by the dictionary definition of language, you're actually turning one language into a form of communication.
Language evolves over time, and the definition has since evolved over time. Anyway, we're not going to talk about that. You will get canceled if you aren't careful saying that on the internet. Sign language is a real language. Anyway.
I was talking about English, Becca.
Oh.
Ha!
That's fine.
Gotcha.
But anyway, somebody told me
Wait,
that
who's
I
going to be able to hear the podcast?
Yeah, I was like, hold on. Sorry, we have 38 listeners a week on a good
a lot
week.
of deaf people have functional hearing and
Who's
can
gonna be
listen using cochlear
Okay,
implants.
Jacob, comment
No,
below.
it's-
Have I said anything too offensive?
Jacob is
Okay.
okay. Can I finish my story, Mister?
Please, I'm sorry. You just, oh my gosh, you just constantly like lobby balls up and then you expect me not to slam them down. It's just every other word is so good. Am I on?
Yeah.
Okay. It's just, it's so hard for me not to do this. Sorry, continue.
Okay.
Continue.
Sorry
You're
that
great.
my story about working with children is hard.
Good. No, it's good. It's good.
Okay.
Continue.
Anyway, somebody told me I should go back to school to be a teacher of the deaf and hard of hearing. I am almost done with my degree. I've been working all year doing that instead of interpreting. My student is now at a school for the deaf where it is just an amazing spot for her to be. And I love my job so much more now, and I'm so much more passionate about my job, and I love working with these students and teaching these students. And I love being a teacher, and I wouldn't have it any other way. So this is just a sign that just because you got a degree in something doesn't mean you have to do that job, and you're not locked in, and you can use it to springboard into something else. So yeah.
I don't know anyone who's actually doing the job they got their degree in.
Fair. My dad.
Yeah.
No,
Oh, good for him.
his first degree was
for him.
social work. He's not doing that.
Social
anymore.
work.
But he got
yeah.
another degree, so.
But I guess I'm doing the same thing because I am getting another degree in the teaching. So
Oh, nice.
because you legally have to, otherwise I wouldn't. But So
Thank
we
you
should go
for
ahead.
clarifying.
lob all the balls back over the plate, knock them out of the park or whatever.
My favorite story
Yeah, from
about
all these comments.
nice. Okay, only one story, and I feel really bad about, but I think it's funny now. Is that Christian's
Okay.
best friend has a deaf dog,
Wait, what?
Oh no.
and our first double date with you and Rob and me and Christian, I made a deaf joke about Christian's best friend's deaf dog, and before I really even like became friends with you, and I felt really really bad, and you were like, "It's okay," and I was like, "Okay, cool." But so yeah, super happy.
See,
Okay.
I just don't like making jokes about other marginalized communities, and if that community wants to make jokes about themselves, that's fine. But I don't like making the jokes.
Hey, man,
So-
every hard of hearing person I've ever encountered has been down to make some jokes.
Yes, and I think it's great for them to make those jokes, but I'm not gonna make them.
Coward.
Yep.
Howard
Also-
or like a good person who cares about other people. I don't know.
I'm going with coward.
Yeah, but I'm not leaning that way. I'm just
This
saying
is
though, it's
why
like
only men listen
it
to your
the-
podcast.
if I make
It's not true. It's like
I have a
a
question.
70-30 split. I was
Is it
looking at the
really
numbers today.
30% is women?
I don't know.
Rob
Oh,
would know the
Good for you
statistic.
guys.
I mean, it's because of you guys that's been listening. That's
That's true.
Me
I
and
am part
Rob's
of that
mom are the
statistic.
entire female audience.
No, sorry, it's
What
90-10.
about me?
I was
Oh, I
thinking of
didn't
the
know
age
you
groups.
listened now.
Never mind. I stick to what I said then.
But no, it has to be one more than just you two because we only have like 30 listeners a week. And so if 90... Never mind. I'm doing math on the fly and I haven't got enough sleep.
Christian, what
Kirsten,
were you
what's your number
trying to
3?
say?
oh, just a quick question. If I make fun of a deaf dog,
Yeah.
will deaf people be mad, or
Oh,
will the
yeah.
dog community?
You
Potentially.
effing know it, big
Deaf
dog.
people would be mad if you were comparing them to dogs. That is something that annoys
Well, that's a
people. when someone's
universal
like,
that you
met a
like.
deaf dog, and they're like, "Okay, I'm a human being." But if you're just making fun of the deaf dog, I don't think they'll care.
Okay,
I think there's a lot of follow-up information we need about the nature of how you're making fun of this dog.
Are you like, come here, boy?
The dog's a girl.
to the
So.
dog or to the person.
Come here, girl.
I just like you can't just have a blanket yes or no to that question. That's all.
Okay, I'm just making sure, and I would never compare anybody to an animal
But
unless
you
they
would be
want to.
surprised
Not
Unless they're
true.
what they do
furries.
when they just get excited and they're like, "Oh, you're a deaf person. My dog is deaf," and the deaf person's like, "Okay."
No, I would never do that. I hope you guys know me long
My
enough.
next best
for me
friend's
to-
dog is deaf.
I
I
was just
hope
saying
you.
it's the thing that happens.
Okay. People do that.
Yeah. People
Oh.
also offer deaf people braille menus. Like people are just stupid.
That is a real one.
That is stupid. That is stupid.
It's so dumb.
You hearing the bumps as it crosses your finger.
No, they can't hear the bumps.
They can't hear the bumps. Oh no. Oh
See,
no.
this is why it happens.
This is why it happens.
We need
Who's-
more
sorry.
awareness about the difference between blind and
Kind
deaf.
of deafness.
Whose
Michael,
turn
you and
is it?
Jacob can just do a podcast together.
I
I
do,
think
I do
think
one
if
too many
you did-
podcasts for my mental health as it is.
Don't you do 2 podcasts, right?
Nah, just the one.
Oh, that's funny.
Christian, what's your number 2?
My number 2. My number 2 is role-playing games such as D&D. I have always been a very shy, reserved person, and so I never ever thought I would do any sort of game that involved like I don't know, any sort of me having to like make up a character or like act or anything like that. Until Becca and Robert invited Lucian and I to play. And it sounded fun, so I decided I was going to be brave and I was going to try it. I think I cried the whole way over there. I was so nervous. And then the whole time playing the game, I was just like sweating. I was so nervous. I'm like, this is the worst mistake I've ever made. Why would I do this? But then I kept playing, and now I've been playing with them for like 3 years, and it's very, very fun. I like it a lot. And I also ran my first one shot, which I also never thought I would do, especially with like other people who also play D&D. I was like, I do not know how to play this game. And now I'm gonna like run a whole session.
Was that
Mike,
the wrong part?
what the heck?
Well, technically, it was on purpose. But then I pretended it was right. Please continue.
Okay. Yeah, it's super fun, especially with like people that you enjoy hanging out with and enjoy talking with. It's just like a fun little like creative outlet. And I have a good time with it. And yeah, that's all I have to say about that. It's just like, I did something that was really scary. I thought I was gonna like throw up the whole time. I didn't. I made it through, and I'm through like 3 years now. And it was very fun. It is still fun. It is still fun. So thank you, Becca and Rob, who changed his mind about being here, for inviting me to play D&D with you guys.
Shots fired! Shots fired! D&D. I feel like adults are very uncomfortable with the idea of pretending. Like we feel like we've grown up. We don't imagine anymore. We don't pretend, which is dumb because pretending is fun. So
It is
D&D
fun.
allows adults to pretend and feel comfortable about it. And I love
Yeah.
that about it.
Yeah. One of the reasons I pushed through and I was very excited to play D&D, even though I was nervous, is right before you guys invited us, Lucian and I started listening to a D&D podcast called Dungeons and Daddies, and
Not a BDSM podcast.
not the BDSM podcast, yeah.
Sure.
And it's just like
Ah,
Four
it's that
grown
kind of role
adults.
play. I'm disappointed.
Yeah, I purposely really quickly said roleplay games such as D&D because I knew if I left any opening, it would be
You know I'm a
significant.
degenerate.
But yeah, that podcast just like 4 grown adults just being super silly and dumb. I'm like, wow, this seems like a good use of their time. So it's probably a good use of my time too. So
Now they're millionaires off of it, which is crazy.
They sure are, and they're still making quality content and inspiring D&D
Alright.
players everywhere.
I think our D&D sessions would make us millionaires. We tried to open a bakery on top of a bunch of dead people in a basement.
And
What?
we're like, no,
Yeah.
it's 1,000 degrees. What are you doing? And we're like, we don't know what else to do. Half the party's out. I want to bake.
Rob kept being like, the stuff is still happening. And we're like, do you think if we grind up these bones fine enough, we can make flour?
We did. We set it all up, and we're like, all right, where's our customers? He's like, they're all dead. I'm like, oh, okay. But literally, like, our last campaign, we had one person that really ever did any damage, and he was out. So we're like, what are we supposed to do? We can't fight.
No, we had a rogue, a cleric, and a druid with us. It was like,
Yeah.
So you need
A
think your
druid was a
opponents.
nature druid in a city with no nature. So I designed a bad character for this campaign. Half my spells were trees and bugs, which apparently are not super
Not like
common
we're
in
always
the city.
collecting
There's
bugs.
bugs in the city. You've got to be over by a dumpster. Swarm them with
Yeah,
flies.
I stopped because Rob would immediately kill them all every time, and it made me kind of sad to just keep making these giant centipedes that immediately died.
One
Rob
time
hated
Rob
when there was
changed
more
his
than, like-
mind is when he killed Christian's character's pet hyena, and then he felt so bad about it that he brought her back to life the next episode.
Yeah.
That's
And then she
something he
was
changed
hired.
his mind about.
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
Yeah.
Well,
That's two.
he would not say he changed his mind. What he would say is, I gave you a 1 in 100 chance, and you just happened to get the 1 in 100 chance.
Yeah.
That's what he would say.
That's
It's
a
pretty good.
steaming pile of bull. So
He doesn't like to admit that he has a soft side, so
Yeah,
Sorry,
but he
Rob.
does. It's okay, Rob. It's okay to have a soft side.
we
Yeah,
can
it's great.
explore that next
Yeah,
week.
when you show your soft side, people don't assume you hate them for the first year that you know them.
We'll get to that later.
This has been Therapy with Christian.
Make sure he listens to this one, Becca.
He probably will since he's not on it.
Honestly, that helps sometimes. I get so sick of my own voice.
Yeah.
Lou, what's your number 2?
My number 2 is that I thought I wanted to be a social worker, and I went to school to be a social worker, and I did 2 internships thinking I was going to do social working, and then I actually discovered what the job was about, and I was like, oh, I don't think I'd be a good social worker. I can't, and I didn't know that until my senior year. I just literally thought God was calling me to be a social worker, and did not question it at all. And didn't learn how much they make, didn't learn how much they are forced to work. And if you're a social worker and listen to this, I don't know how you have the time to. Your caseload is probably absolutely insane. You need to go to bed. But yeah, not for me. And I'm very happy that I changed my mind and I didn't keep pushing because I thought that God was calling me to do something. When that's not how God's callings work. So, yeah, that's me. That's my number 2.
Thank
Yeah,
goodness you're not a social worker.
I was a social work major for 1 semester.
That's what your major was?
So for the first semester, I was getting my degree in vocal music performance. I was going to get a 4-year degree, and then I was going to go back to school for a degree in music engineering. The vocal music performance degree was for fun. The music engineering degree was so I could get a job in a recording studio or working sound booths at like concerts. After about 6 months, I realized classical music's not fun, and like doing music for school takes all the fun out of it, and it is really expensive. And so I was like, I went to my guidance counselor and I was like, hey, I think I want to become undeclared and just knock out all my my gen eds. And he was like, no, you can't do that. Which in hindsight, yeah, you can.
Yeah, you can.
But I was like 18
Professors
and I
love
didn't
to
know how
lie
to
to
be like,
people.
listen, buddy, I pay you. So either you're going to do this or I'm going to name you in my exit interview, your choice. I was like, okay, how about social work? He was like, great idea. And signed me up for a 300 class, which I failed. and
Yeah.
never went back to school. And I wish I had that guy's name so I could dox him right now. But yeah, no, it's insane. The social work,
Yeah,
the
I've
stuff
had
you
my
got to do
fair
for
share of
social work is a
awful
lot.
college guidance counselors that should not be guiding 18-year-olds. So
Yeah. Yeah. I think everyone who's like, I care about people considers going to social work at some point in their life because I also started as social work.
Yeah,
And
just
then
like
you quickly realize that there are other options, and social work is not a very healthy career field for the most part.
My dad used to be a social worker, and it's funny because I remember when I was younger, I'd hear him talk about it, and I'd be like, "Wow, Dad was like the best social worker in the Detroit area. He's so impressive." And as I've gotten older, I've just been like, "Wow, Dad was the best social worker in the Detroit area because the bar was below the floor."
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
yeah.
I was basically a social worker. It's called a supports coordinator, but I was basically a social worker for just under a year, and that was the hardest and worst job I've ever done in my life. Like, it's just like, I don't know, it's basically impossible to do anything as a social worker. I've come to the conclusion of.
Yeah, I couldn't. There's no way. The more I've talked to my dad about it and see all that it includes, one, I don't have like part of the reason he was good at it was because he's like concrete, sequential, anal attentive, organized.
Yeah.
Not
Mhm.
this guy.
Yeah, we got our grandma's genes.
Yeah.
Neither of our parents in that department.
Yeah. I also struggled with the organization part. You have a lot that you have to keep track of, and I could not do that.
Yeah, maybe if I started now, I could like get there, but at the time there was not a chance that I was gonna be able to do that.
Yeah.
I have
if
some
anybody
friends
would have
now.
hired me, it would have been their fault though. The writing was on the door, or is that the right saying?
Wall.
The writing was in the walls. Yeah.
Mhm.
All right.
What were you gonna say, Becca?
Oh, I was just gonna say I have some friends at work who are social workers because we have like school-based social workers, and which is
Mhm.
a much better scale because you're like only working in the school, but it still is.
Yeah.
It's a heck of a job.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
have heard school social working is a lot more manageable. Still hard, obviously, but I've heard it's a lot more manageable.
Yeah. So hats off to all you social workers. I don't know how you're doing it.
Yeah, good job, guys.
Oh, hold on,
Or
there's
maybe
someone.
you're just bad at your job, but there's nobody to replace you. Who's to
I
say?
wasn't clapping at Michael. I was clapping at social
Well,
workers.
thank you, Becca. I really appreciate that.
If finally somebody
For
appreciates.
any social workers out there still putting in effort, good for you.
Yeah, those ones.
Yeah.
Oh man. All right. Number ones.
Yay.
All right. So my number one, I've been trying to figure out exactly how I want to phrase this all day. But essentially, it's when I started to actually think for myself politically. It's essentially when I disassociated from my political party. Not that I was like ever out like handing out pamphlets, and kind of drifted to the center. And I realized that people will like adhere dogmatically to the party line, and like I got to the point where I was like, no, I lean this one way, but I disagree with some things that is like, this is what the party says. And so I started, instead of being like, I'm gonna hold the opinion based on what a group, kind of arbitrary group of people all think. I'm just going to make up my mind on every single thing. And since then, I've just kind of drifted into the center. And now I'm too conservative for my liberal friends like Kyle and Jacob. But I'm too liberal for my Republican friends. Lou is always trying to convince me that the gender gap does not exist.
Get out of your mind. Like, who's your Republican friends? Oh, you're gonna give me fourth here, Robert. I mean, Mike. Good Lord.
Sorry, I listened to the clip of me pretending that Lucian's been trying to suppress female voices on the podcast the other day, and I was like, I need to do this again, and Christian's going to be on the podcast, so I had to. But yeah, that's my number one is just like deciding not to make all my political opinions based on like a checklist that's just handed to me, and actually kind of think through my things. And it's great because like once you get to that point, you can have a conversation with someone you disagree with, and instead of being like, no, you're wrong because my checklist says you're wrong, you can be like, oh, well, like explain why you think that. And then you can actually understand why somebody else thinks something they do, and you can still disagree, but like you're able to
have a
like
conversation.
Yeah, you're able to be like, hey, I can at least respect that you thought this through. And when somebody comes up and it's just like, because, well, I'm like, well, then you haven't thought this through. And so, like, maybe I don't respect that as much. But, like, it allows you to, like, get along with people, even if you disagree with them. And I find that to be pleasant, because I'd always rather like people than not like people.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's a big step for a lot of people to, like, get to the point where they're willing to question, I don't think, like, political views or something that they've grown up with. Like, I don't know, it's a pretty big step when people start being willing to be like, okay, I've believed this my whole life, let me actually consider the reasons why now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is, ultimately my politics didn't even change that much. It's more just that I actually understood why I believed what I believe, and was willing to listen to other people voice an opinion. I was like, oh, this is actually pretty nice.
Mhm.
Yeah, I find that in my own personal experience, I feel like a lot of people end up in the center, and it's just that the two ends are louder than everybody
Mhm.
else.
Yeah.
Which is the truth of many things.
Oh yeah.
My two ends are louder for sure.
Okay, so now we're each going to go around the circle
I
and say
don't
who we
understand
voted
you.
for and why.
What's his name? JFR Kennedy? FRJR?
Yeah, FRJR, that's him, yep.
FRJ. He should have done a podcast.
You
That voice-
clearly voted for him.
Stafford Rice 2024.
Stafford Rice 2024.
Umi, my dog. I think she would do a great job in this country.
We don't actually have to go around and say things. It was a joke.
I thought it was clear that I didn't actually vote for my dog, but
I don't know, man. I know some people who are like, for real, like, I'm not doing this year. So it wasn't even that crazy of a take to me. I was like, yeah, all right.
I just really wanted the sticker of the.
Little sticker.
I wanted to
I
just
lost
show
my
that I
sticker.
voted. I didn't want anybody to look me up in that database, find out I didn't vote.
Oh yeah, when they were like threatening people, they're like, they don't know who you voted for, but they know that you voted.
It was such a like creepy commercial.
Yeah, it was very creepy.
I
Fun
did not
fact.
see that commercial.
Oh yeah,
Me either.
it was I think it was the 2020 election that they were airing that one. This year I actually did not vote. I just found somebody who I trust deeply, who I know votes exactly the opposite, and I was like, look, I won't if you won't. We're in the same district. It comes out to the same thing, but we don't have to do any other work.
Okay, that's one way to go about it.
Run around each other's.
I guess it's not completely like illogical.
No, the math works out.
Never heard of-
Yeah.
And also, even if one of us like went back and cheated on it, which I didn't do, I don't think he did. It's not like anything was decided by one vote. So, you know, it's not like it's not like you're saying I'm not going to vote because my vote doesn't matter. Because, I mean,
Mhm.
like on an individual level, yes, but like if everybody says that, then you start to run into like, well, now it kind of does. But it's like, no,
Mhm.
I'm making a gentleman's agreement here. And if I get screwed out of this, then I can kind of back it up. Then I can fall back on one vote doesn't matter. But Becca,
Yeah.
what's your number 2 or number 1?
My number one. Before my number one, fun story about my coworker who is deeply anxious on election day. She came to me at work and was like, "I'm so anxious now because what if my vote does matter and I voted wrong and I'm the vote that screw us up?"
No.
So shout out to my coworker who it's a good thing you're on your meds.
Oh my God.
We joke about that together all the time. She would not be offended by that.
This
Can I
has
Okay.
been
have
therapy
first and
with
last
Becca.
name, please?
My number one is the mind change that changed my whole duckin' life.
Wow.
In the grand scheme of things. Thank you. So when I was in college, I started hanging out with Michael and his group of friends, and then Michael's
She graduated,
friend
as it
from-
were.
I had yes. And Michael's friend came back from an internship and started hanging out with us, and I did not like him. And his name was Rob. And he really and I thought he was really mean, and I thought he was unnecessarily rude and contrite, kind of a butthole.
Mhm.
And then our mutual friend Zach said, "Hey, anybody care if Rob plays D&D with us?" And I said, "Okay." And Rob started playing D&D with us, and myself and my other friend were very determinedly not liking his presence there. And then he started like doing like kind-hearted things that I couldn't deny were happening. And so eventually my mind changed about him as a person, and I realized that he's just rough around the edges. And is a very warm-hearted and fun person to be around. And then I ended up marrying him, and I moved to North Dakota. And because I moved to North Dakota, I ended up becoming a teacher, and I ended up buying the house that I have now. And my life changed completely because I changed my mind about that one thing. So
Wow.
that is the number one time I changed my mind. And I love you, babe.
Aw, that's so
It was
sweet.
so funny because Mackenzie comes home one day and she goes, "Hey, I think Becca's into Rob," and I was like, "I can guarantee you that's not the case." And then Rob shows up to church like the next day, and I was like, "Hey, man, what you doing here? That's kind of a long drive for you." And like I paid attention a little bit, and I was like, "Oh man, they're digging each other." And so I was just like, "Hey, you guys want to come back to our place and all hang out?" And then we would just like Mackenzie and I would be like, "Oh, we gotta like knock out these dishes real quick," and so we just like give them some
No, you're
space.
doing that.
Oh yeah, dude, we served you two up on a silver platter.
Shout out to Mike Mackenzie for the silver platters. It was funny because Rob and I went through a phase for like a month where we were texting every single day. And I was talking to my Aunt Crystal, and I was like, "Crystal, I just don't know if this guy likes me." And so we were talking, and then she was like, "Well, how often are you texting?" And I was like, "Well, every day." And she goes, "For how long?" And I was like, "A month." And she goes, "Oh my gosh."
Yeah, I knew if I didn't like seriously push you guys down the stairs, you were gonna take
Yeah.
forever. And in hindsight, like when he moved to North Dakota, it was like you guys had been dating just long enough to make that
Yes.
work. So
Well, he
you're
had a job-
welcome.
He applied for a job in Texas like 2 months into us dating, and I was like, "Well, that sucks because I was really enjoying this relationship, but like I've been dating you 2 months. I'm not following you to Texas." So I thought that the relationship was going to end, but he didn't get that job. And then we'd been dating for like a year when he got the job in North Dakota. And so, yeah, it really was like if we waited too much longer, it yeah, probably wouldn't have panned out. So,
Yeah, he was also thinking about not taking that job because of you too.
was he really?
Oh.
Oh,
But he changed his mind. That's 3.
What?
know that.
Robert, we gotta redo this episode. You gotta like patch yourself in now.
it's like, hey, I really like this girl. I was like, brother, she'll come with you. Don't worry.
Yeah, we had the conversation, and it was like it was a weird decision because I had another time I changed my mind. I always assumed that I would always live in Michigan and close to my family, and that's what I wanted. And then I was like, well, heck, I want this more. And so, yeah, I think my dad thought that he broke up with me because I came out of my bedroom crying, and I was like, I just got off the phone with Rob.
No, no.
He's moving across the country. But
Oh,
he's
no.
like that.
Clearly, but
Also, Lucian freaking like interviewed me the first time we went
Did
out
he?
on a double date. He like very aggressively
Oh.
interviewed.
He's like,
I like.
He
do
does
you
like
have
to
any
do that.
animals with hearing or visual disabilities? I want to know.
Like, he straight up asked me if Rob got a job out of state if I would follow, and we'd been dating for like 2 weeks or something. And I was like, I don't know, that depends.
I didn't know it was 2 weeks. Yeah,
Could not be long.
I prayed for you. I prayed for Rob's wife for a very long time. It was and I did not know it was this like weird ass kid that I met a long time ago at church.
Before.
But yeah, and so when that too like was working, I was just like, yeah, I gotta figure this out because if this is real, yeah, I don't know. Yeah.
You're a good friend, Lucian.
Oh, I try to be. I try.
Christian, what's your number one?
My number one is I changed my mind that it is not a bad thing to be shy and awkward and kind of quiet. For my whole life, I have been incredibly shy, to the point where like if I thought I had to speak in class for any reason, I would just like break down. Like I just could not handle any, I don't know, attention at all. And I always saw it as like a character flaw of mine that I was quiet and shy. And I always wanted so bad to be like an extrovert because I would see extroverts everywhere. My whole family is basically just like all crazy loud extroverts. And
They're
I've always
alcoholics,
been,
but continue.
and I always was like, I just need to be more extroverted and then I'll be fine. And yeah, I think up until I was like, I don't know, maybe like early to mid 20s, I still was like, if I could just like be more extroverted and be less shy and awkward, like I would just be a better person. And I still saw it as a character flaw. And then I don't remember where, like somewhere I heard either someone say it or like I read it, or like somewhere I just heard that like people are like, it's okay to not be an extrovert. Like there's nothing wrong with being introverted and shy. And that was just like the first time I'd ever heard that or even like considered that like it wasn't a bad thing not to be like the bubbly, excited like person in the room. And I think that has brought me just a lot of like I don't know, like peace with myself. And now I'm just like constantly trying to like go the opposite way. Like I'm not trying to be extroverted anymore or like bubbly. I'm trying to be like, it's okay that I'm, not saying as much as other people, and it's okay that I don't like to be like the silly person or the life of the party. Like it's okay that I kind of just like to sit back and do my own thing and I don't know, just I guess not put myself out there as much. And yeah, that's just like been my biggest mind shift just like about myself. And I think it just like has helped me let go. I don't like a lot of self-hatred and things like that. And I just never realized like how much I don't know, just how much stress it was causing me to try so hard to be someone that I'm just completely not like, and I never will be. Like I just know I will never be like the type of person that I used to like idolize and like beat myself up for not being. So yeah, so that's my biggest one, is just being okay with like who I am, and it's not shameful or weird just to be like a quiet, shy, like reserved person.
For sure. And look at you
Yeah.
now. You're role playing and coming on podcasts. And
Right. Who the heck am I? Who the heck am I? Young me would be like, why are you trying to kill me? Why do you wish death upon us?
I grew up in a family full of introverts for the most part. Especially on my dad's side, much more introverts, where I was like the only loud, bubbly one.
Hmm.
So it's kind of interesting to hear you describe that as like thinking of it like a character flaw, where I, as a kid, was like, wow, I'm just like too much, I think.
Way too much.
I need to tone myself down, like, shut up, Michael. And so like it's just all about your perspective, and I think everybody just we waste so much of our lives wishing that we could be someone else rather than just enjoying who we are naturally, you know?
Yeah, I think I wish it was more. I wish like both, like more different sides of personalities were more celebrated, because I just think a lot of, I don't know, my friends or things I were involved in, like sports and things like that, like they just, tended to favor more extroverted, confident people. And I think there's a lot of ways that people like forget about different aspects of people. Like they get so caught up in one trait that they forget that like there's other things that need to be like celebrated about people and things like that.
For sure.
Yeah.
We can't all be hot Kyle. It would just be exhausting.
Yeah. There'd be way too many hot Kyles in the world. One hot Kyle I think is enough.
The perfect amount of hot Kyle.
I agree.
Lucian, what do you think? What's your ideal number of hot Kyles?
Hey, Gusta Chicos.
Hello.
Hey, there he is.
There you are.
Hey. It's 9:00. My computer is already failing me.
Oh shoot!
Mm.
What's happening?
It's your number
Probably
one.
that's what your ideal number
Yay.
of hot Kyles is.
Oh, that too.
What hot Kyles?
If,
What
yeah,
hot
if you
Kyles?
could have as
Yeah,
many
what's
hot
the
Kyles as you
ideal
want, how
number?
many? What's your ideal number?
If I had as many hot Kyles?
If you could have as many as or as few as you wanted, what's your ideal number of hot Kyles?
Oh my gosh, that's such a good question. Mm, I'd like a football amount, so 11.
Oh, okay.
I'd like 11 hot Kyles. No,
Kyles
this is it. I want 11 hot Kyles, but I want to tell each hot Kyle that he is the hot Kyle, and everybody else,
You are
everybody
the
else is the
hottest
clone.
Kyle.
So I need to
Oh my
make sure
God.
every hot Kyle knows that
You're the
that they
special
are
one.
the one.
You're
You're the
one that
special one.
matters.
Yeah, but I should
Oh my
like
God.
don't tell
The
the
rest of
other
them,
hot
they're
Kyles.
just sexy Daves.
yeah. Then I could take over the world with 11 hot Kyles. Oh, for
Oh
sure.
my God.
There's
You took that like a very different route than what we all took it.
there's no institution that could stop 11 hot Kyles.
I mean, he is pretty good at worming his way into wherever he needs to be, so in a good way. Very I don't know what the word is. Resourceful.
Yeah, I mean, I saw the first time I met Hot Kyle, I saw your face, and I was like, "Oh, this guy's the real deal." Before I even met him, I was like,
Why?
"Cool."
What?
Oh, we haven't talked about this before.
Oh yeah, no, gotcha.
Okay, cool.
Go
cool.
ahead with your number one, Lou.
My number one. I got a sad one. I got a sad one. I got an inspirational one, and I got a funny one. You guys can pick.
Mix them all into one.
Mix them all into one. Should I just throw up 3 ones?
Yeah, go ahead.
Follow
Sure.
your heart, Lou.
I'll follow my heart. Sure. Yeah, vegetables suck. I'm not a bad son, and I don't care what people think about me. There you go.
So you
Wait, which one's the funny one?
Hold on. I'm confused.
Vegetables
So you
don't
do
suck.
think vegetables suck?
Vegetables don't suck. I'm sorry. Vegetables don't suck.
Okay.
I'm not a bad son. and I don't care what people think about me, unless I care about them.
Those are all
And
very good takes.
even then, yeah. Which one do you want me to talk about more?
Bad son.
Bad
Yeah, I
son.
agree.
Sounds good. All right, my father left me at birth. Never knew my father. He had my mom babysat. My mom was a babysitter for his kids. I found that out kind of recently in life, and so my dad had sex with a babysitter, and that's how I was born. And so he kind of
I'm
dipped
a
out very
degenerate.
early, and then my mom left me when I was.
Michael.
That wasn't
My
me.
mom left me
Michael
when I was
can't
6.
handle the serious topics.
Huh? What's going on? Should I keep going? Or no?
Oh, every time things get too serious, he hits the soundboard.
His dad had sex with the babysitter.
Dad had sex with a babysitter. I mean, I don't know what you want
I'm
from me.
going
Fine with
mission.
serious topics. I am the second most serious person on this podcast. Not currently, but
true.
like on average.
Yeah, on average, that's true.
Go back and listen to the middle school episode. I killed it.
Okay, I will.
And then my mom left me when I was 8, I think. 8 or 6. I think 8. And so, yeah, I mean, like any normal kid would think that I'm just like a failure and I'm a bad son. And what like doubled it on me is that my mom still was in contact with me, but it was really toxic. And most of the times she was pregnant, and so she had 3 other kids, not including me, so 4 total. And it was really hard, like, to just not understand why I wasn't just one of them that she was raising. And looking back, I'm very happy that I wasn't, because oof. But yeah, because the woman that raised me recently passed away, I got in contact with my mother again. And before that, even as an adult, I felt like I was a bad son because I'm the reason why of this like division me and my mom. So yeah, the woman that recently raised me, that I call mother, passed away, and I got in contact with my mother, my biological mother, and she was very toxic still, and she was continuing to blame me for the reasons why we are not close. And I was like, oh, you are the problem, not me. I was never the problem. I was just a child, and you're still like gaslighting me into thinking that I'm the issue. So yeah, there you go.
No bad students. Only
No
bad
bad
teacher.
Only bad
Thank
teacher.
you for opening the butt cheek of your heart. Or however you said it that one time.
Butt cheek of the heart. All right, finish this off, Beckett, whatever your name is on the podcast.
Lou, what are we talking about next week?
Next week we're going to talk. I thought that was good. Is that your Rob's voice, or is that just the?
That was pretty good.
Yeah, that was pretty good. Next week we're talking about pitfalls in relationships.
Oh.
Yeah. So stay tuned, guys.
Right.
Especially if you are a single male, you need to listen next week.
Which, let's be real, as Christian pointed out about our audience, you probably are.
So if you're listening on Spotify or YouTube, make sure to give us a thumbs up and a comment down below. There's a book club. Look at that. And
I think we're probably gonna end up reading The Hobbit. It's running away
Yeah.
with the vote. So if you don't want to read The Hobbit, make your vote heard. Don't agree with Hot Kyle to not vote. Get on the Discord. Make your voice known.
True, I voted and it wasn't for The Hobbit because I want to read something I haven't read before. So, but you know what? The Hobbit's good, so I won't be too mad if it wins.
Okay, that's the podcast. See ya.
That's the podcast. See ya.
Goodbye.
Adios.
Hey guys, sorry I'm late. I'm ready. I'm totally ready for the pod. Guys? Hey guys, Mike, Lou, where are you at? Fine. I didn't want to change my mind anyways. Last time I make that mistake.